Boom.
Boom.
Love it.
Let's do it. Let's drill it.
Boom. Boom. This is going to be a fun one.
Sound effects. Hi.
That's the intro we were looking for.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Bradley Hannon.
We're waiting to get funded for the real fireworks, but
yeah, we presented to several VC firms and nobody's bit yet, but we're really, really optimistic.
I feel it coming.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, welcome.
Bradley
Hannon. Welcome to the
Yes.
Insurance Dudes. If you're not watching on YouTube, then you don't see the shirt that says insurance sucks. We have said that so many times. Haven't we?
Yeah.
We definitely say leads suck. That's our
No
mantra.
doubt.
We will get into that. A couple things. One, Bradley has tattoos. Another tattoo brother. That's awesome, man. You don't see a lot of that in the insurance. Well, I guess you do more now, but not.
Yeah, man, especially when you sell over the phone, right?
Right, exactly. But let's dive into some speed breakers.
Let's do it. Are you
Craig?
ready, Bradley?
I'm as ready as you can be, I think.
Okay, let's put the 11 seconds up on the clock.
That's what
Perfect.
she said.
Is it?
I don't know.
Have you ever had a mullet?
Never.
First crush?
You want a name?
It's
I'm married. I'm not saying anything.
Most embarrassing
Nice.
thing your mom ever caught you doing?
Most embarrassing moment?
Thing that your mom ever caught you doing?
Watching dirty television.
Okay. Fastest speed ever driven?
160.
Wow. That might be
Driven-
the record
Driven
holder.
or
Right?
ridden? Driven or ridden?
Either.
If you were in a car going 160, that's pretty impressive.
I was on a motorcycle going 160, so that counts for
Oh,
something, right?
dang.
That's even
That
scarier.
more than counts. Yes.
Wow.
It's
Like
very scary.
the thing way up there is past you before you can see the thing way up there, huh?
The moment you have the thought like, oh wow, I could go down and this would suck really bad, you really let off quickly. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I've gotten near 100 on a motorcycle. That was like, okay, no, I'm not doing this.
yeah, anything could happen.
Favorite cereal?
Lucky Charms.
How many kids?
Nice.
One and one on the way.
Have you made cry? Please wait till the end of the question.
Ooh.
Dang it. I knew that was coming too, and I still took the bait.
time.
Probably no less than 10.
Good. Count Chocula or Count Dracula?
Count Chocula.
Fastest mile?
I don't run 8 minutes, 7
Favorite-
minutes.
Whatever. Favorite
25,
flavor?
Yeah.
Yeah, cardio. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite flavor?
Vanilla.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
That's right. Tacos or burritos?
Tacos.
It's amazing. It's always dogs and usually tacos. Favorite video game?
Halo.
Halo.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. That might be the first Halo. Trump or
No,
Biden?
second Halo.
Trump. And I'll
Oh wow!
say it out.
Two times today. They've said it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
No,
usually like I'm not
I
gonna.
know.
Yeah.
Hey, you love me or you hate me, right? It's all good.
Exactly. I mean, it's
There
going to
you go.
happen anyway, right? They're either going to love you or hate you, so might as well give them something to work off of. So
I didn't say whether I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat. I really spoke about what I feel like is best for my business. That's all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
One-
I love that.
I feel the same way.
I thought
I'll
you were going
throw
to say
it out there.
100%.
100%.
100. All right. I'll toss it
Well-
over to you, Mr. Jason.
Bradley, what was the first concert you ever went to? And I want to go all the way back. And if it be Barney, then Barney it be.
Dude, that's a tough one. I would probably say like Eric Church or something, like a country singer. I mean, the last one I can remember anyways. I was probably
Nice.
17, 18.
Love it. So take us back from Eric Church and where that young boy grew to this tattooed dude that works in the insurance business? Take us through that journey.
Oh man. Well, it started at birth. Oh wait, we want to start at the after the country concert. Okay.
Yes.
Dude, so you can go back to birth. I got time.
There were many.
Do you remember? Do you remember being born?
It was really dark. That's all I can recall. But the main thing was, I mean, between Eric Church and now, there was a whole lot of partying, a whole lot of being young and dumb, and a whole lot of living life, in my form of mediocrity, to where now, kind of fast forward insurance, is, we were talking about it before the show, is kind of opened up, and I've been doing it for about 6 years, but from year one to now, I just continually realized, man, there's literally no limit to what I can do in this business. It doesn't matter whether I'm selling health insurance, life insurance, Medicare, or PNC, there is really limitless opportunity. So that's where we're at today.
So it's really fascinating, and we're super grateful to have you on, because we don't talk to enough people from your neck of the woods in the insurance world. So you've been working in healthcare, worked for a captive carrier in healthcare. We won't mention their name if you won't mention ours. And it's just, that's a whole nother world to us. And we'd love to learn about that. We've had a few people on that interact with that, but take us, how did you gravitate towards that? What fired you up about healthcare?
Absolutely nothing fired me up about it.
Right, exactly.
What's funny is it's actually not healthcare; it's health insurance. So it's a common mistake. See? And I'll give you some grace. Your property and casualty, and or as my video guy called it the other day, we're at an insurance kind of based conference, and someone was talking about PNC, and he goes, "Well, you probably need to talk to corporate about that, because like whatever." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, PNC Bank, and they're like, no, PNC. So hey, I'll give you a little, leeway there. But healthcare is kind of like what you get at the doctor's office.
Sure.
Health insurance is what hopefully will pay for some of that stuff.
And I knew that. I was saying that on behalf of Mr. Jason.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely nothing excited me about it. In fact, I remember my now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. She was the recruiter for this agency. And she was like, you should sell insurance. You should sell insurance. And I'm like, no chance. I was finding assisted living facilities for old people. Right. So that was pretty boring. And I was kind of getting out of that. And she's trying to talk me into getting into insurance. I'm like, I'm not going from one boring thing to an even more boring thing. I'm good. Right. And, an event changed it all for me. I went to a company Christmas party on her, with her as her date, met a bunch of young guys that were selling insurance and making it look kind of cool. Right. And so, and making a lot of money doing it. So like most people, I had the thought, if they can do it, I can do it. Right. And so
what specifically looked cool?
Yeah, I'm still puzzled.
I guess I didn't get to see them in the act of selling insurance, so nothing looked cool about that part of it. What was cool was that they all drove nice cars. They, they were ex-baseball players and athletes, just people that I resonated with, and I felt like, man, if they can do it and enjoy it, right, then I can too. So, that was in full disclosure, it was like a drunken company Christmas party. So, it was a blast.
So they were talking your language.
I think, I don't think that there are insurance events where that's not the main goal is to get just absolutely hammered. Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the ones that I go to, at least while my wife's listening to this podcast, the ones that I go to, that no insurance agents ever have partaken in any alcohol. For sure.
Right. Of course not.
Because I go to a lot of events, man. I do. I'm kind of an event junkie at this point. I love going to events.
It's fun times.
That's awesome.
It's great to connect with all the agents, learn from them, and then, of course, the ancillary activities are always a lot of fun.
Yeah. You're talking about ancillary like policies and things, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
Of course.
Heard
you
that.
know, when you go back to your room and all you do is look over the policy jackets and really dig in.
Oh man, you guys are too funny.
So
Awesome.
take us through. So, okay, they were everything was looking cool. They're all driving Ferraris and Maseratis. And you thought, well, shit, I need to get in on this thing. What happened?
Yeah. So I left that event, right? I left that party, and probably not in my drunken stupor, I didn't really think about it. But the next day I'm like, all right, I'm open to it. Set up a meeting, or set up, have him reach out to me, which is her like agency manager. And at the time, and since we've parted ways, I actually had lunch with a guy today, so I'm still friends with him. Everything's still good. But I sat down at a lunch with him, and we didn't talk insurance or anything like that. But he said, "Hey, I'm building something. We're growing fast. I need leaders." Essentially, was his like what he said that triggered me. And I've always been drawn to leadership. I've always gone after leadership type roles and things. So immediately I knew, okay, if I'm on the fast track to leadership in this type of an opportunity, then I'm going to come in and give it all I got. And that's exactly what I did. I came in, in 6 months, I made $80,000. That following year, my second year, I made $280,000 because that following year I started to build a team. And then I, like so many insurance agents do, went back to pretty much zero and restarted, and was able to get there faster the second time around. So that's all I'll say about that. But it was that exact conversation about getting into leadership and building a team. I love a team environment. I'm athletic background, all of that stuff. I love building teams, and so that's what I guess really drew me in, was the ability to build and grow a team.
We use those sports analogies so often, as leaders in the agency to get everybody fired up, and there's so many. There are so many similarities between a high performing sports team and a high performing business team, and especially in this space.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've also applied that to recruiting, and anybody that's ever been an athlete before, I always am like, oh, this person's going to kill it. But then they don't have a work ethic. They might be super competitive, but that's in like another arena, and they don't relate. So sometimes there's a disconnect, I feel like, with that competitiveness in the workplace. And I think that comes from like, a work-life balance. They're like, they separate the two, whereas my work is my life and my life is my work. Like they all kind of coexist,
Yeah. You can train on product, you can train on all the stuff and how to sell and all these things, but you cannot train on how to do the activity. You need that hustler.
No, you can't, especially when you're selling over the phone and activity is literally all you've got.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely worked in agencies that don't have that team element, and then the ones that do, like the current one that we're, man, talk about a different energy and day in general. Like anybody that doesn't have an agency like that, but has a quasi team, it can be a bummer. It can be a bummer to come into work. But man, if you got that team element where you guys are all rowing for the same goal, man, it can be a bunch of energy, bunch of fun every single day. It's
I think
totally
we're talking
polarizing.
About culture, right?
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important, because when there isn't culture, then there's turnover. You're in this reactive hiring mode where you're constantly looking for somebody, and then you cut corners. Oh, they have a license, great, get them in here, and then they're terrible, and it's just endless cycle, right? The hamster wheel of terrible culture at the agency. And I've had that. I mean, I was there for many years, and then now having a really good culture at the agency, I mean, we hardly have any turnover. And we kind of flip the script where it's like, hey, I'll pay better, I'll spend more, I'll buy more leads, just do the whole thing where you're feeding them to be successful, and nobody leaves.
100%.
Sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around spending more and then you just get massive results out of it versus, before you're trying to, I have to save. The scarcity mentality just kills it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that to a fault because I've got my second kid on the way. And so we're starting to, pre-fund college tuition and all of that stuff. And it's like, I realize how much I actually invest into the business. And it's like, I mean, it's a very large percentage of what I make. And, that could be getting out to events, that could be in new technology, it could be in staff, whatever. But I think it's the best investment you can possibly make, right? I mean, in yourself and in your business. So I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time about, a lot of agents, they won't spend on marketing, they won't spend on these things, and then they take that money out and put it into stock or whatever, and you're going,
well, first pay taxes on it.
Yeah,
right?
You're going to pay taxes, then you're going to invest in somebody else's business. I don't get it. Like every extra dollar we put back into the machine, and it just that $1 turns into $3. Then you take those $3 turn into $9, and just boom.
I was talking to a good friend of mine at lunch about this too. The overrides, right? When you do get into a leadership role and you start to make overrides, most people that's all their money. Like the override is theirs, their commission on their sales, that's theirs too. Whereas I built my business. The reason why I was able to scale quickly is because the commissions that I made on my sales, that was my money, at least a portion of it after I paid taxes and all that. But my overrides, that was my agency's money. And that money went immediately back into whatever it was I was trying to do. And I don't have a giant office, got a little office, but we've got 12 or 15 agents, coming in daily. We've got a great culture. We're looking at larger office space locally. I've got about 50 agents on the team nationwide. But those agents, a lot of those remote agents, they started when I was bootstrapping it, when I didn't have the money to invest in an office space and things. And so I kind of did it out of the fact that I had no other option. Like I didn't have a space for people to work out of. So you're working remote. To where I grew it enough to where as soon as I had the money to invest in office space, I knew that selfishly I needed to build that community around me. I needed to build that culture around me because that's what helps drive me, right? And so if it works for them, it works for me. And so I kind of built the office out of a selfish desire to be around other people going after, big time things.
Yeah. It can get tough being on that island and being remote, not being around other people. And, I think all of us, the whole world experienced it in the last year.
Yeah.
But this is really interesting. I'd like to touch on this a little bit because I think it's something that can translate to whether you're in PNC or healthcare or health insurance or whatever. I don't know why it's like care wants to come after. But how were you able to create that remote team, and what did that look like? I'm just curious about managing remote employees because it's always been a struggle. At least for me and other folks that I've talked to.
It was a struggle. It wasn't like it was, ideal, but, I use technology, obviously Zoom and Slack is a great, resource. And then I would make sure that we had daily meetings, for people to check in, or not necessarily for them to check in, but I would provide value, some sort of training or whatever on those meetings, because at the end of the day, all my agents, they're 1099. They don't have to show up to meetings. They don't even have to show up to the office. If they, didn't want to, they just won't have a space in the office anymore if they don't do that. But, so you have to constantly provide value. At times I hate it because I'm like, oh my gosh, am I working for these guys? Are they working for me or what? How is it? And it's like, neither really. I think we're all kind of working for each other, and they drive me to continue to have to continuously get better and learn new things and, marketing and personal brand and branding and all of this stuff that, I always joke about back when I was selling insurance, like when I just started selling insurance early in sales, I thought that marketing was for people that couldn't sell. Like, if you're doing marketing, that's because you can't sell, but you need us to close the deal. And marketing just opens the door. Really, it's kind of, they work in unison, obviously, as most smart people know, but I didn't believe this. I just believed that sales was everything. And so, just learning new things constantly and providing that value is the best way that I grew that virtual team. And it was probably only 15 or 20 agents by the time I had the capital to now put, or not even just the capital, but the belief in what we were doing, that I could open an office and do that kind of stuff. So now we've got a few different offices, continuing to grow remote, continuing to grow locally, just kind of a little bit of everything, man.
Dude, I love it. You said something super key in there that I think that that resonated with me, but also I think will with people that don't understand this. And it's the old school mentality is, hey, I'm paying the paycheck, you know what I mean? You're working for me kind of thing, But it really is like the best leaders understand that there's a symbiotic relationship where you guys are all working for each other, because the leader is supposed to be the one that everybody can rely on. Like you are the pillars of the building, Yeah. And they need that structure in order to keep them going. But I really think that from everything I've seen, when you have that leader that isn't working for the team and they're just more of like the boss, it doesn't work out well, and the employees get over it. But like, dude, employees don't leave people that are working for them. Like that's a rarity. It shouldn't be, but
you need to serve your team just as much as you serve the clients.
And they're 100%. Serving you, man. Yeah. I mean, it's
as
everything.
As you scale, you're no longer really necessarily serving the clients. So by extension, your team is serving the clients. But if you can't serve them, what are they going to do? If you're in there complaining about
that's what I was going to say too. That's what I was going to say too, because I always get myself in trouble when I'm on podcasts or any of these things. I come off like, and we all do it, but like come off like we're just so service oriented. I just take such good care of my team. And while that is true, like, there's a certain point where I really invest in my leaders, right? And then my leaders invest in my team. And to scale, you have to have these things. And I think so many people misunderstand that and look at it from the outside and think, well, he's just he's a jerk, or well, he doesn't ever have any time for me, or whatever that is. Right. But like you're saying about the clients, that's the people that you're investing into are taking care of those clients. And so, that's naturally how you scale. Otherwise, I got 50 agents and I'm, all things to all people there. And that's too much. Yeah. So that's been a real challenge for me, because I want to get in there with every single person, but it's not possible.
You can't do it.
That blows up.
I tell everybody it's like a baby. Like the business is a baby. That baby has to grow. It needs blood in its veins. It needs the fuel and everything else. In order to do that, you got to make decisions like maybe that one person on the team isn't serving the team. You know what I mean? And in order for you to let that person go, serves the team, serves everybody more than keeping the person on the team. You got to keep the team healthy, because the team is a baby, man. It's this growing entity that needs to survive. And so that's for us as leaders, we need to make those decisions so that baby can grow.
Yeah.
And
I had one of the,
and take the freaking emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Got to, because it serves everybody more.
The process is all the things that you put into place that you can point to, instead of it being about, a personal thing about that person and then becoming emotional. It's about the process. And, we've put some specific metrics that for activity, and everybody was kind of like, because we're doing great, without necessarily saying you need to do this and this and this, but it was starting to drift a little bit and said, okay, we're going to do this. One person doesn't want to do it. And we said, well, it is going to be this way. And, that's fine. You don't have to do it, but you're not going to do it here. So, you're more than welcome to go somewhere else where they're not going to have this kind of accountability. But this is where we've gone to. Like, we've now grown to the point where we have to have these metrics in place. It's not to be mean. It's not because, we're just making you do stuff. It's because these are the things that are going to get us to the next level. And
just part of life, right? We outgrow people, just like the business will outgrow people. So, hey, it's sad, but it's true.
Right. That's right.
And most of the time, we just got in, Craig and I just got in a conversation about this, is like most of the time somebody fires themselves, right? Because it's maybe they're in a role, the business grows or something like that, and then that role needs to kind of evolve. And if they're not going to evolve with the role, then and you're trying to coach them and everything else, and they're not rolling with the punches, then they've kind of made the decision themselves, most of the time, to get to a point, especially when you have a leader that cares, that's pouring into it, into them. Most of the time there's a good direction on how to keep this thing rocking, and they've decided not to do it, so it's like, it's more their decision. And
sounds
whatever
sounds like it's happened a time or two, right?
right. And I tell everybody,
I think we're all speaking from experience.
100%. And when somebody fights it that hard, it's like, dude, you got to find what you like to do, because when you like to do what you do, you're gonna pour more into it. Right now, it doesn't seem like you like what you're doing. Like, I'll help you find that job.
Yeah.
But dude, you got to move on, man. You're not serving either one of us.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, hey, I know it's your show, but I gotta leverage the opportunity here to try to debunk a myth, okay? That I think is the reason why you haven't had many healthcare or health insurance agents on here, and it's just funny because I was in that bubble where that's all I knew, so it's what I understood. But then I got into I got connected with agents that were in PNC and doing life and Medicare. And I would tell people that I do health insurance, and they'd be like, wow, really? I heard there wasn't any money in that. How do you pay your bills? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm here to debunk that myth, because there's absolutely money in it. It's one of the biggest, I guess, myths when it comes to health insurance. I work with a lot of PNC agencies that are adding it to their business. It's very, very, I'm not the smartest guy. And I think that health insurance is, as far as all lines of insurance, the easiest thing to sell, because heck, our government at one point in time mandated you to have it, right? It's like your car insurance. You got to have it. So sometimes you don't even have to sell it. You're just taking an order. But I'm here to tell you, there's plenty of money in health insurance. I just wanted to get that out there.
Dude, we'll talk more about it. For somebody maybe like Craig that doesn't know much about it. Let's start from the ABCs. How if you are doing PNC or something that's generally more known, how would you get into it?
Yeah, so I think the first step is the ACA marketplace with what is going on right now. The American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, it just made a whole lot of people, like they're estimating a few million. I've got good friends and colleagues that are estimating 20 and 30 and 40 million new people will have access to what they call a government subsidy. So there's just low hanging fruit, and you're seeing it on I watch a lot of Hulu shows and stuff. You see it on these Hulu ads. You're seeing it on the news. Health insurance is top of mind for people. So it's a hot button topic. So even if you're selling PNC, even if you're selling, life insurance, whatever, health insurance is going to get you in the door 9 times out of 10 quicker than the life will, or quicker than the PNC insurance will. So I think that's the best way to start, is simply to get into the ACA marketplace, because you can't screw that up, and it's almost self-explanatory. I can get through an enrollment on the ACA in about 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes, if I'm enrolling one member, the average, and this isn't going to excite people, but this is probably the bottom of the barrel as far as income earning policies, right? But the ACA plan is going to pay on average about $20 per member per month, level for life. Okay. So it's about, if you're like a Medicare agent, that's about like a Medicare Advantage policy. You know what I mean? And again, it's level for life. So people are short-sighted and they get the $20 commission and they're like, well, this is all I got. And it's like, well, yeah, you sold one policy to one person. So you get $20 for every time that they pay their $200 premium. You know, it's a pretty good deal. Now get 1,000 of those and imagine what your life looks like. Right.
Right.
And I'm not kidding you when I tell you that there's agents out there that are doing 1,000 enrollments a year on this ACA marketplace because it's easy, right? And then there's a whole subsector of it, I guess, or a whole, additional opportunity for those that are probably like you guys and like myself who are healthy and above average income, right? So they don't qualify for any tax credits or government assistance or things like that on their health premiums. There's a whole separate market for those individuals. They call them, short-term medical plans or indemnity plans. There's all kinds of different names, but at the end of the day, they still do the job at 30 to 40% less of a cost. And those are higher commission products. Now, obviously things change quickly in the landscape of insurance as a whole. But as it sits today, I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity, and health insurance is top of mind for everybody. So I started a group on Facebook called Health Insurance Hustlers. That's, where we're trying to debunk the myth that there's no money in it. And we talk about insurance sucks. We just make it suck a little bit less, but I think that it's funny because I tell people what I do. They're like, what do you do? Oh, insurance. And they're like, oh, like car insurance, like home insurance. And that's the first thing that comes to mind. And it's not health insurance, which, is funny to me.
That is. So what is your lifetime customer worth? What are we looking at as far as what's the average length of time that somebody stays?
That varies so much. Like if you look at it on the Medicare side of things, obviously a lot of people will say the average is 7-8 years. With in the individual under 65, with the under 65 market, I would say the average maybe 3 years, right?
3 years.
So yeah. So and there's so much variance because let's say it's a family of 4 and you're at $20 per member per month. I mean, now you're looking at $80 per month over the next 3 years. But if you do things to improve your retention, which we all have to do, no matter what sector of the industry you're in, if you do those things to improve your retention, then you could keep that client from when I get off the phone with a client, I'm explaining to them that, hey, we write all plans for under 65 individuals. Like there's no carriers that we don't work with. So if you ever have any issues, you come back to us because we want you to be a client from now until you enroll in Medicare, because guess what? When you enroll in Medicare, we do that too. So we'll help you there.
Right.
So
Love
as
it,
it's
dude.
evolved, we've done more and more Medicare out of need.
That's awesome. And I love that because even at 3 years, you're looking at $20 a month. You're looking at a $720 customer value. That's incredible. I mean, that gives you so much room to be able to market and hire and grow and everything else.
Like I said, that's the bottom of the barrel. Like that's like bottom of the barrel because a lot of private plans and non-ACA plans are a little bit higher commission products. So, your lifetime value can get up to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 with something like that.
That's awesome. And we got in a conversation prior to the interview where you said you've always sold on the phone. Take us a little bit through that process as far as this kind of insurance. How do you guys approach it, I guess?
So right now with the American Rescue Plan, we're obviously calling a lot of different people just kind of with an educational approach. Like, hey, I don't know if you've heard, but we can save you money on the plan that you have now without even having to change your ID cards. Like you can keep your same cards. We're just going to lower your premium for you. Do you have 5 minutes? Right? Like typically that's going to get you in the door. But Yeah, it's always been over the phone. I have my agents, a lot of times they cut their teeth on cold calls if they've never worked on the phone or anything like that. I think it's the easiest way to get them used to talking on the phone and being normal, because it's amazing what happens when somebody puts this thing up to their ear. From like a business standpoint, then they start talking all weird and they get like a higher pitched voice or faster, or like, it's like, man, don't you ever like talk to people in real life? Just talk to them like that. It's really easy. And so, we start them off cold calling, and then obviously telemarketed leads, internet leads, all of the same stuff that every other insurance agent does. We've just always worked them only over the phone. And 9 times out of 10, we don't even have to do a screen share. We'll send them, quote sheets that has all their brochures or whatever it looks like, and we'll just walk them through it. It's fairly cut and dry. I mean, we kind of try to make it as simple as possible, because for whatever reason, health insurance is the most confusing thing in the world to people. So we just kind of try to keep it simple. And being a broker, having access to everything out there really is kind of the key, because at the end of the day, if we can sell ourselves, we have the products. We just have to sell us. You know what I mean? Whoever the agent is calling.
I know that at the scale you're at, your numbers. So I'm curious from looking at the funnel, like from a contacts to quote ratio, how many, or even contact to result of the sale, that $20 sale, how many contacts do they need to get to that sale?
I mean, if you're talking cold calls, we can, if we're talking cold calls, 10%. So, 1 out of every 100, right? I literally train agents on, hey, 100 calls a day is like minimum. Like if you want to do well at this, 100 calls a day. And that doesn't mean 100 times you've connected with people either, right? 100 dials.
100 dials gets to
on like, on something like on like the leads that we utilize, 1 out of every 10. They're telemarketed, they're pre-telemarketed, so they're kind of pre-qualified, 1 out of every 10 there. And then something like an internet lead would be, 1 out of every 20, 1 out of every 50, depending on, I mean, when you get into internet leads is when things get fuzzy, because you've got shared leads, you've got exclusive leads, you've got all these, different variances. So we try not to work a ton of internet leads, to be honest with you. I don't love them. We generate our own leads on Facebook, Facebook ads, that kind of stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, it's a more intimate sale than I would say PNC, because we run a lot of internet leads. So we really just practice at not only getting a ton of those dials on the front end, but then getting really good at the back end to sell it. But I'm sure in the healthcare space, that's a more intimate sale. So I'm sure that, the doing that, the marketing on the front end, like a Facebook marketing, can really be an advantage, because you can create that intimacy on the front end a little bit more.
Yeah. Some of the best, most successful ads that I've seen or done have some sort of personal touch, like, it's a video recorded like this, or, like just a selfie camera, talking to it and being more personable, has kind of always seemed to work the best on Facebook. But I'm just probably in the last year, I really started to develop my personal brand and work on those things. And so now we're seeing I don't even think we've seen the full fruit of it. And we continue to see like opportunity after opportunity, whether it's through podcasts or speaking engagements or whatever. It's all kind of just worked synergistically. And I encourage people all the time to take this phone and look at it and just talk to it like a person, because it's so funny. We post all these like insurance memes, and we'll post like, clever ad type posts, and people just scroll right through that crap. But if you're like talking to your camera like a real person, then people are going to connect with that,
Yeah.
So yeah, we see a lot of success with the more personable approach.
It starts with connection. And I think that we glossed over it, but you brought up like a good agent. You have a good, or you have good agents that can do 1,000 of these deals a year. Was that, you said that, right? So we're talking 20K of income a year off of those $20 pops. So there's a
no.
Or 20, I mean 20 a month,
20K a month,
20K a month, right? So there's a huge opportunity to make a ton of money, and if the average retention is 3 years, then you're looking at potentially 60K a month. Am I doing the math right here?
Yeah, no, you're not. I mean, you're on. It's not. Now that's a very rare gem, right? I know of a few people that are doing, that many enrollments a year, but I also know of, and you can't even call it a year because we have this weird thing called open enrollment, right? Where, you only get 45 days or whatever. This year is kind of just different where we have the extended SEP. So now is when we're seeing those larger numbers. But before, it wasn't uncommon to see in a 45 or 60 day window, wasn't uncommon to see 500-600 members run through, not necessarily 500-600 applications like separate, but 500-600, 1,000 members total, which is unbelievable. Like I said, I mean, an application can take you 5 minutes. So, it's definitely some low hanging fruit. It's just a very misconceived industry, I feel like.
Here's a question. This just curious off the bat is, what about open enrollment? Okay, so you have a couple months, maybe 3 months. I know it's 3 months in California, I think, but 3 months to do as much business as you can. How do you prepare for that?
Well, I mean, you have to kind of get ahead of it, right? So you obviously can't enroll people yet, but you can find out if what they have is working, and obviously if what they have is still going to be available the following year, and all of that stuff. Because a lot of those are just, you don't need the client even. It's just automatically renewing, or you're re-enrolling them. But the average, person, I guess, is getting ready for it by reaching out to their book of business, touching base, making sure that their doctors are still accepting it, all of that stuff. And then just processing a crap ton of applications. I talked to a guy the other day. He reached out to me, and he was like, man, I'm knee deep in applications right now. The last day of the month, I've had over 100 self-enrollments, right, in the last, the last 30 days, whatever it was, through running Facebook ads. So these people are actually going on and self-enrolling, and he was finalizing that process for over 100 in just 1 month. So, you can do 1,000 in a year.
That's crazy.
Well, it's 100,000 dials using your thing. I mean,
yeah.
So a telemarketing team of 10 to make 500 dials a day for a month, and you got your 100,000 dials, which will result in,
I mean,
if those
in theory,
work.
yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
But somebody has to be there to actually take the transfer and then all that and follow up. And is there a lot of follow up, or is it all first call close?
There's a decent amount of follow up, but there's more so a decent amount of servicing the sale. People will run into doctors' offices that aren't accepting it and reach out and things like that. So once you get to a certain point, you definitely want to have kind of like a CSR, customer service rep, or somebody that's kind of handling a lot of that stuff, so that producers produce and, customer service people take care of the customer service. But again, I mean, it's kind of this is only what we're talking about, or what we've spent the majority of talking about, because it's kind of top of mind for everybody. It's in the news is the ACA opportunity. Whereas for the last, 3 years, I've really specialized in the non-ACA market, and that can be even more lucrative. And the main reason why I've done that is because those are the people that I tend to connect with, right? They're some people will say healthy and wealthy, right? What I say is healthy and above average income, so I don't sound like a jerk. But those are the people that I enjoy talking to on the phone. Those are the people that are clients, but quickly become friends, or so on and so forth. So this is kind of a new aspect of the opportunity with the ACA and a lot more people qualifying for those subsidies. Can you imagine calling somebody that makes 70 grand a year, family of 4, let's say, they're making 70 grand a year. You call them up and you can tell them, well, you're eligible for a plan that's $0. Would you like that? Of course, right? And you're still getting commission on a plan that costs your client $0 or $200 or whatever. But it's a lot lower than what it was with the new subsidies and things. So it's a newer opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, and your other one gives you, it's worth the time on the higher lifetime value, so you can spend that time on those and make more, or do a massive funnel and blast through 100,000 dials. So there's a lot of different options there. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking into your telefunnels, by the way. I'll have to pick your guys' brain on that stuff another time. I know we've got to run here, but the telefunnel, just that word in and of itself, I was intrigued immediately because sales funnels are everything right now. Yeah. But we've always been a telesales type of organization. And so I heard telefunnel and I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it just gives that insight into all the analytics. I remember at Merrill they had this, the sales manager handed out this thing and said 1 million dials. Here's the data, and I'm like, well, we made 22 million dials, so here's the data. And on the PNC side, it's really interesting because it is a bell curve, but we have a longer sales cycle than what it sounds like you have. And I mean, we're dialing all the way up till that 90th day. Right, where the lead now is you have to turn it off, scrub it, and do all that. But up to the 90th day, it's open season on it. And I mean, we close people on day 89 on the 90th dial. So with us, it's just constantly making those calls. And 50% of the new business that we write in our agencies, it comes after the 21st to 31st dial. After, and most agents buy a lead, call it twice. These leads suck. Right. So, yeah, good.
I can't wait to bring that back to my team. It's like, hey, the insurance dudes, their team's calling them 90 times. We're quitting after 12. What are we doing?
12 is not enough, man. 12 is not, at least in our world, it's not enough.
We literally do run people through a 12 contact system, and then we put them on and then it's a 30-day follow-up, a 60-day, 90-day, so on and so forth. Yeah. But yeah, a 90 contacts, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, one of the Teledude's clients closed somebody. Yakov closed somebody on the 104th. I was talking about our 94th dial, and he's like, we got somebody on 104. I'm like,
that's incredible.
One upper.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that in this space that we didn't get to go over that you would like to make clear? Because I liked your.
We are going to drop all your contact stuff. I think you've sent it over to
yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll go through that after this.
Aside from that, I mean, the contact info's in there. I'd love to basically just shed the light on more of the industry, more of what we do. But I can tell you that we would be here for a long time if we continued to go down the road of the health insurance industry, right? It's ever evolving. It's always changing. People are always going to hate it. That's why, I say insurance sucks. I just make it suck less. And so no, man, I think the biggest thing that I was hoping to get to do on the call is simply to say that there is money in the health insurance industry. And if you're an independent, PNC shop, or, if you're a PNC shop that doesn't offer health yet, then you probably ought to look into it, and I'm telling you that, and I'm just creating competition for myself, but it really is. There's some low hanging fruit, and there's a ton of people in that market that we can help.
Yeah, 130 million.
All right.
I mean,
tell us about you, man. You're everywhere. So how can people get a hold of you? See you
on the YouTubes?
Yeah, so you can check me out on the tube of you. It's just Brad Hannon is my channel. There's tons of insurance training content there. Well, actually, I shouldn't say tons. There's starting to be a ton of insurance training content. We push out 2 or 3 videos a week right now, and it's just kind of been a passion project of mine. Also have a group on Facebook, like I mentioned, called Health Insurance Hustlers. And then my socials are just, Bradley Hannon or Brad Hannon, whatever. You'll find me. Like you said, I am everywhere. So let's connect.
You have the website too, bradleyhannon.com?
Just bradhannon.com.
Brad Hannon.
Yep.
Okay. So bradhannon.com. That's with 2 N's.
Yeah, with 2 N's. And note that way the Brad Lee, I took that out because people will spell the Ley or Ly. So we just went with Brad Hannon. Kept it easy.
Yeah.
You know.
There you go.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much, man. Awesome to have you on. Like we said, all the stuff, the details are down in the show notes. So you can grab that, find Brad, and go start selling health insurance, or talk to him to have a relationship, I guess, symbiotic with your agency.
Boom.
Boom.
I love it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Love the energy. Thanks for connecting.
Yeah.
And yeah,
we'll see you down the road. Thank you.
See you down the road. All right, bud.